Hello everyone, welcome to my new channel, the ABCD of CBSE English. My name is Tazir and I'm going to discuss a very important chapter from class 12 English book Flamingo. The name of the chapter is Indigo. So let's start. Now, before I begin, let me give you a brief idea about what you can expect from my channel. Let me start with one of the biggest problems of student life, memorizing the answers. Very difficult. Now, memorization is a very risky business because you have a lot of mental pressure and nervousness that revolves around your mind during the exam time, and you might forget a part or the entire answer in the exam hall. Now, the question is, what is the alternative to memorization? What is it that can ensure that you don't forget the answers till your exam time? This is where my channel comes into the scene. Talking about the benefits of following my channel, well, there are many. You would discover them later, but for now, I can assure you on 3 points. First of all, I'll be breaking down the concepts and ideas of a topic into several bullet points and mind mapping, which will help you to remember the topic for a long time. Secondly, I'll be supplying you with a lot of background information about the topic, which will help you to remember the topic for a long time, even beyond your exams. Finally, a combination of all of these would help you to bring newer and better perspectives and different point of views into your answers, which in turn is going to help you to get better scores in exam. Well, I think that's enough promotion of my channel. Let's get into the topic, Indigo. So in order to understand the chapter Indigo in a better way, I have divided the chapter into 5 main bullet points. First, we'll be looking at the source of the chapter, like from where it has been taken. Then we'll get to know a little bit about the author and see like how he is relevant to the chapter. We will also look at the title Indigo, which has a very interesting historical significance because it is not limited to one place like India. It has a history across regions. So far, so good. We'll then move on to look at the main characters in the chapter. The last 2 things we'll be doing in this chapter is to go through the timeline event described in the chapter, and we'll also look at the significance of this chapter in the Indian freedom movement, and we'll see how it was later amplified, which in a way compelled the British to leave India. The source of the present chapter, Indigo, is taken from a book by Louis Fisher. The name of the book is A Week with Gandhi, which was originally published in 1942. A mention of this episode is also found in another book, The Life of Mahatma Gandhi, which was published in 1950. Talking about the author, Louis Fisher, he was born in Philadelphia in 1986. He started working as a teacher first, then he volunteered in the British Army between 1918 and 1920. He then became a journalist where he has written for many renowned newspapers like the New York Times. He has also worked for various Asian and European publications. Now let's get to the title Indigo. We're going to do a little bit of background check of Indigo and we're going to see how this product is important in terms of the movement that we would study in this chapter. Now, indigo was an ancient plant that produces dye. A quick look at the history of indigo suggests that it was originated in the Middle East. Now the question is, what was so special about indigo? Why was it valued so much? Now indigo would give a rich purple color which was associated with power and wealth. So much so that some people considered indigo as the color of the kings. People have used indigo for various purposes, mainly for dyeing fabric, for painting, and in some cultures for coloring the skin. Now, indigo was already associated with power and wealth. In addition to that, indigo was scarce, hard to find. So the demand rose. Soon, indigo became one of the most profitable commercial crops. Now, if you search the history of indigo cultivation on the internet, you would come across many surprises. Let me give you one example. In the 1700s, in Carolina, America, which was a British colony, indigo was produced. Now you can see It goes back into the history. Coming to the history of indigo cultivation in India, after 1498, when the sea routes were opened, the British saw that many places in India have the potential to produce indigo. Eventually, many peasants were forced into indigo cultivation. Now, let's get to the character. First of all, of course, it is Mahatma Gandhi, but I would skip his character description for the time being, and we would see his prominence and the role he played in the Indigo episode as we discuss the chapter. Let me start with the second most important character in the chapter, Raj Kumar Shukla. Raj Kumar Shukla was a peasant. He was residing in Champaran with 5 acres of land. He was also suffering like the fellow sharecroppers because they were forced to produce indigo and then they had to share indigo with their landlords. Now, interestingly, Rajkumar Shukla, even before he met Mahatma Gandhi in 1916, he was continuously questioning the policies of the landlords. Finally, when he came to meet Mahatma Gandhi in 1916 in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, he met several other political leaders before he met Gandhi, but it didn't work. Surprisingly, when he met Gandhi and requested him to come to Champaran to study the plight of the sharecroppers, Gandhi refused because he had other appointments. But Rajkumar Shukla already made up his mind not to give up. So he followed Mahatma Gandhi to 3 different places: Kanpur, Ahmedabad, and Calcutta. Finally, after seeing his determination, Mahatma Gandhi agreed to visit Champaran a little later. The next important character is Dr. Rajendra Prasad. He was a politician, a lawyer, and a journalist. And I'm quite sure you know that he was the first president of independent India. We find a mention of Dr. Rajendra Prasad in the chapter Indigo when Mahatma Gandhi, along with Raj Kumar Shukla, went to meet him in his residence in Patna. The next character that needs a mention here is J.B. Kripalini. His full name was Jivatram Bhagwandas Kripalini. He served as the president of Indian National Congress for over a decade, and he also played a major role when the ruling power was being transferred by the British to the Indians in 1947. In this chapter, Indigo, we see that Mahatma Gandhi met J.B. Kripalini in Muzaffarpur station when he was working as a professor in a government run college. We also mentioned the character of Sir Edward Albert Gate, who served as the lieutenant governor of Bihar and Orissa roughly between 1915 and 1920. We will see how he played his role in the Indigo episode from the British side. Finally, we'll mention 2 more important characters during our discussion of the chapter. The first one is Kasturba, the wife of Mahatma Gandhi. The second one is Devdas, the youngest son of Mahatma Gandhi. We will see how they played a vital role in Champaran. Let's get to the chapter straight away. Remember, Louis Fisher, the author, was interviewing Gandhi in 1942. Gandhi was describing an event of 1917, which started in the year 1916, when he met one of the sharecroppers from Champaran in Bihar, Raj Kumar Shukla. So, talking about the second year that you need to remember backward is 1917, because this is the year that Mahatma Gandhi mentions to Louis Fisher about Indigo episode, which is elaborately described in the chapter. Now that we are done with remembering the years, let us have a look at the place names that are described in the chapter. So basically, you have to remember 3 place names: Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, and Bihar. In Maharashtra, like I said before, there is a place called Sevagram where the author Louis Fisher met Mahatma Gandhi and interviewed him. The next place is Lucknow in Uttar Pradesh. This is the place where Mahatma Gandhi was attending the 31st session of Congress when a sharecropper from Champaran, Rajkumar Shukla, came and met him. Now let's get to Bihar. Inside Bihar, you have to remember the names of a few more places. First of all, Champaran. This is where sharecroppers like Rajkumar Shukla were suffering because of the bad policies of the landlords. Inside Champaran itself, there's a mention of another place called Motihari. We're going to see how that place is relevant in terms of this chapter. Next, we get a mention of the place Patna, which was the residence of Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who plays a vital role in the Indigo episode. Finally, inside Bihar, we come down to another place, Muzaffarpur. We're going to see how all these places are connected and how they are relevant to the chapter Indigo. Now, I have already told you that Raj Kumar Shukla met Mahatma Gandhi in 1916 in Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, when Mahatma Gandhi was attending the 31st session of Congress. Now, I'm going to take you a little bit backward and give you the background of what was happening in Champaran at that point of time, which made Raj Kumar Shukla to come out of Champaran and meet Mahatma Gandhi. The lands that were fit for cultivation in Champaran were divided into large estates which were owned by the English landlords. Now, these English landlords forced the tenants or the sharecroppers to cultivate indigo in the 15% of their land holdings. The entire crop cultivation of indigo would go to the landlords. Now, here is the twist. The Germans had developed an artificial indigo or a synthetic indigo, which was then catching demand in the market. Eventually, the demand for Indian indigo fell. Now, the English landlords of Champaran thought of a plan. On the one hand, they released the sharecroppers of Champaran from cultivating indigo anymore, but on the other hand, they asked the sharecroppers to pay compensation for not cultivating indigo anymore. Now, at this point, we're going to see how Mahatma Gandhi entered into the scene and how he helped the sharecroppers with their situation. So let's track the journey of Mahatma Gandhi inside Bihar. Gandhi, along with Raj Kumar Shukla, started off from Calcutta and they reached Patna. The question is, why not Champaran? Why Patna? Patna was the residence of Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who was a shining star as a lawyer at that time. Gandhi was strategic. He wanted to meet Rajendra Prasad. But Rajendra Prasad was not at his residence at that time. However, Gandhi was allowed to stay in Rajendra Prasad's house because the servants in his house knew Shukla beforehand. Here we come across a very shocking event of caste discrimination by the servants in Prasad's residence. The servants thought Gandhi as untouchable. By the way, the untouchable were considered to be impure or less human because of their birth into a particular caste system. In Rajendra Prasad's residence, the servants did not allow him to draw water from the well. They were following the popular belief that if Mahatma Gandhi draws water from the well, there is a chance that the entire well can become impure. Also, Rajkumar Shukla and Mahatma Gandhi were allowed to sleep on the floor of Prasad's house by the servants. We do not find any follow-ups of this matter in the chapter itself, but if you are interested, you can read more on the internet about how Mahatma Gandhi developed a bigger and wider movement against this mentality of untouchability. Unable to meet Rajendra Prasad, Gandhi then headed to Muzaffarpur. Before heading to Muzaffarpur, he sent a telegram to J.B. Kripalini, who was working as a professor in an arts college there. Gandhi knew him beforehand. Now we are at Muzaffarpur. Gandhi arrived in Muzaffarpur at midnight on 15th of April 1917. Professor J.B. Kripalini, who Gandhi had telegrammed before, was waiting with a large group of students to welcome Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi was overwhelmed. Soon the news of Gandhi's arrival reached the sharecroppers of Champaran. Now, from Champaran, big group of sharecroppers started coming to meet Mahatma Gandhi, and they were telling their stories about their sufferings. Meanwhile, Gandhi also met some lawyers who were fighting for the sharecroppers. During the conversation, Gandhi got to know the high amount of fees they were charging from the sharecropper. Gandhi was discontent about it. He, in a way, expressed and said the lawyers should not be charging the high amount from their own people. Gandhi also realized that with the cause of the sharecropper, it is of no use to go to the courts because courts cannot give justice. What is the reason? Gandhi realized the reason is the deep fear inside the minds of the sharecroppers, which needs to be removed first. Now, this much for Muzaffarpur. Now we get into the main scene of events, Champaran. I've already told you that the English landlords cancelled the production of indigo with the sharecropper and said, you don't need to pay us 15%, you don't need to cultivate indigo. But you have to pay us compensation because you are no more producing indigo. This angered the farmers. Some of them willingly accepted the new agreement and signed it, while others decided to fight for their rights. They hired some lawyers. Now, the English landlords, they hired some thugs and musclemen and forced those sharecroppers who decided to hire lawyers to fight for their rights. By that time, the news of the German invention of a synthetic indigo already reached the sharecroppers, and they felt cheated. They also wanted their money back, which was taken as a compensation by the English landlords. This is the time Mahatma Gandhi comes into Champaran. So, first of all, Gandhi met the secretary of the British Landlords Association in order to get some information. The secretary, interestingly, refused to give any information. He rather termed Gandhi as an outsider. Next, Gandhi met the commissioner of the Tehru division. Mind you, Champaran district was under Tehru division. Now, this commissioner turned out to be a violent version of the secretary of the British Landlords Association. He threatened Gandhi, did not give any information, and asked him to leave Tehran immediately. Guess what? Gandhi did not leave. Now we come to a new place, Motihari. Motihari was the capital of Champaran. Now Gandhi came to Motihari with several lawyers. There were lots of people who greeted Mahatma Gandhi in Motihari. He stayed there in a house, converted the house into his headquarters, and continued his investigation regarding the sharecroppers. Just around that time, a news reached Mahatma Gandhi that a peasant was being mistreated by one of the landlords. Gandhi wanted to visit the peasant. However, next morning, on his way, he was stopped by the police superintendent's messenger. The messenger asked Gandhi to go back. Gandhi complied. The messenger also handed him a notice that Gandhi should leave Champaran immediately or he would face legal consequences. Gandhi acknowledged the receipt, but on it he wrote he would disobey the order. Now all this resulted into a court summon for Gandhi. Gandhi prepared himself. He sent a telegraph to Rajendra Prasad and asked him to come to Bihar with some powerful people along with him. He also briefed the entire incident to the viceroy. Next morning, the peasants, sharecroppers started gathering in front of the courthouse in support of Gandhi. This was a time when the peasants and the sharecroppers were coming out of their fear. The officials, on the other hand, were feeling helpless. They wanted Gandhi to help maintain the peace. So Gandhi complied. He regulated the crowd. The prosecutors requested the judge to postpone the judgment. The judge, on the other hand, asked for preparation of Gandhi's bail. Like I said before, Gandhi was accompanied by a large group of lawyers. I must mention some prominent lawyer names here, like Rajendra Prasad, Brij Kishore Babu, Mazharul Haq were among them. Now, during the recess of the court, Gandhi asked some of the lawyers what would happen if he was sent to jail. To which one of the senior lawyers replied that they would go home if Gandhi was sent to jail because they couldn't do anything more. To which Gandhi argued, what would happen to the sharecroppers then? The lawyers excused themselves, went aside, discussed for some time. During their discussion, which was reported later to Gandhi by Rajendra Prasad, they discussed that if Gandhi could come from outside to help the sharecroppers, why couldn't they help the sharecroppers as well while they reside in the adjacent districts? So they came back to Gandhi with a very positive news, and they said they all are willing to follow Gandhi to jail if he was sentenced to prison. After hearing this decision, Gandhi came up with a wonderful reply. He said, the battle of Champaran is won, because he knew nothing could stop them anymore. When the court session restarted, Gandhi was released without a bail. After several days, the case against Gandhi was dropped altogether. The later event followed up an inquiry into the complaints of around 10,000 farmers. Notes were made, documents were collected, which were then submitted to Sir Edward Gate. After 4 meetings with Edward Gate, a commission was made by him, which comprised of the government official, the British landlords, and Gandhi himself, representing the sharecroppers. The inquiry eventually led to a huge number of complaints against the landlords, and evidences were also collected. Eventually, a day came when they had to repay the compensation money to the sharecroppers. Now, in the meeting, the landlords asked Gandhi, how much should we pay? They were expecting Gandhi to ask for a repay of 100% compensation, but Gandhi said 50%. Finally, it was decided that they would be giving 25% of the compensation money as a repayment to the sharecroppers. Now, like you and I, who are wondering why Gandhi would agree to mere 25% of the compensation repayment, where he could have insisted on 100%, which the British landlords were expecting him to say so. There was a person, a British missionary, who was witnessing the entire bargain, and he was present there at that point of time. He asked this question to Gandhi, to which Gandhi replied that the repayment of compensation money is not important. What was important was that the British landlord had to bow down in front of the peasants' movement. And at the same time, the peasants, for the first time, became aware of their rights, and they got the strength to stand for their right. The indigo sharecropping slowly and gradually came to an end. The British landlord gave up their properties, which were then distributed among the sharecroppers. This is how the episode of Champaran comes to an end. The chapter later discusses several follow-up programs which were taken up by Gandhi. He called up several volunteers to work as teachers for the development of education of the people of Champaran. He also called a doctor who offered his free services to the people of Champaran. Gandhiji was joined by Kasturba, his wife, and his youngest son Devadas in this venture. They worked for hygiene and overall development of the people of Champaran. Now, before we conclude this discussion, let us have a look at the significance of the entire Champaran movement. Gandhiji showed the British that he was ready to accept the penalty for disobeying their orders, which in a way put pressure in the British government, because that was the time they realized that the fear of punishment was going away from the Indians. Now, the second significant aspect of Champaran movement was that Gandhi moved from one place to the other and created a mass movement. He collected the evidences, he collected the sentiments, and then gave it a singular voice to raise against the British in a strategic way. The other significant aspect was the Nonviolent Satyagraha movement, which was advocated by Gandhi avidly. Now, Gandhi's idea was to stand with the truth, which is Satyagraha, and be non-violent at the same time against the rulers.